Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. Today we'll be looking at the historical drama movie, Hamnet. Long ago in Stratford, England, there were two people, Agnes and William, both having their lives intertwined with one another, as their love, lives, and tragedy would go on to help William Shakespeare form his masterpiece. Hamnet is based off of the 2020 book of the same name, which I haven't read personally, but I've heard good things about. This was a sleeper hit for a lot of people, myself included. I am a big fan of William Shakespeare's work. I did my stint of acting in my earlier days, did a couple of Shakespeare plays, my favorite being Hamlet. The thing I always find fascinating is when people try to romanticize who William Shakespeare really was as a person. Because truth be told, we really don't know much about him as an individual. We know more about his writing than we do about him. So anytime there's a portrayal of William Shakespeare, I'm always like, oh, well, this is a fictionalization of him. You know, less human, more the genius within. You know, that old chestnut that everyone pulls out with biopic. But this movie isn't so much a biopic movie as it is a way of de-romanticizing William Shakespeare. Taking some things that may or may not have happened in his personal life and putting that at the central focus of who he was as an individual. Now, I'm not going to pretend I'm some sort of Shakespearean scholar or anything like that, but I know enough about William Shakespeare to know that he did have a hard life in his early days, and he was married and had a child who sadly did pass away. And that's the key central focus of the story itself. How that would affect someone at an older time period, and the love that two people can show. Not in a way that's too heavy-handed. It's raw. It feels truly raw. Like someone was actually trying to genuinely encapsulate what that feeling would have been like at that time period in which it took place, in that area, in that Stratford upon England, which was essentially mostly forest. It's a lot more urban now, but at the time, to go from that to high society is night and day. The movie was directed by Chloe Zhao, who got her name recognition in a movie called Nomadland, which, fantastic movie. It actually, I believe, won her an Oscar, and it was a great dramatic role. For some reason, Marvel decided, based off of that, and the fact that she herself has said, I never read comics, to give her the movie Eternals. Now, if you put from the creator of Eternals on there, you're going to be like, I'm not going to see this movie, because Eternals was a terrible movie. It was a terrible movie from A to Z because you had people who didn't understand the source material, a director who didn't know what the hell they were doing as far as making a superhero movie. It's not even the genre they're known for. So why they did it, I still don't know to this day. But I put that in the back of my mind because I thought, well, Nomadland was a good movie. Eternals wasn't. And I try to make a habit of doing a 3-strike when it comes to directors, especially early directors. If they've only had a certain amount of roles in their repertoire, I went into this with decent expectations because, again, I am a big fan of William Shakespeare. And boy, did this movie reach beyond my expectations. This was a very well-paced, well-structured, somber movie. It is a movie that touches on heavier subjects, but does it in a way that feels genuine, not rushed. There are parts in the movie that I feel people taking acting can watch. It's subtextual moments between the two main leads that they don't say much or little to anything at certain points, but they give each other very small expressions, touching a finger, putting a hand on a shoulder, looking gently but not fiercely. Things that are subtextual that a lot of actors don't really pull off proper. But these two truly hit it out of the park. William Shakespeare is played by Paul Mescal. And Paul Mescal, hits this genuineness that I feel is how Shakespeare actually was in his earlier days. Not this pompous version that we see in every iteration of anyone talking about Shakespeare, with the big thick collared neck piece and the paintings and things and such. And mind you, whenever you see those romantic paintings of Renaissance eras and stuff like that, keep in mind they make them wear those suits so that way it looks better on painting, but they didn't actually wear those things on the regular. So just keep that stuff in mind. Jacoby Jupe plays the titular Hamnet, which the reason it's called Hamnet is because the name in Old English is very similar to Hamlet, and Hamnet are basically the same name. It's kind of like John and John in that sort of way in the early days of writing. He has this really sweetness to him. It feels like a little kid, a real little kid who's curious, interested, sad when he needs to be sad, happy when he needs to be happy. Hits all of the points that need to be where they are. The sister does an okay job, but she's not in the movie enough to really give much opinion about. I think the person who hit the movie out of the park and the standout performance in the whole movie was Jessie Buckley as Agnes. I felt so awful for her and happy for her, and I felt like I was on the same emotional roller coaster as her character. It cannot be easy what she was going through, what she experienced, and the things she was going through. What we would essentially call Wiccanism is essentially what she practiced in her own life. And seeing her struggle with not only her personal problems, the things that were going on in her life, but having a husband who's so distracted with his own work, it's a relatable story. It's a relatable movie that I feel a lot of women can go through and men can go through and see themselves in some of the experiences. I also loved near the end where you get to see the old school style sets of acting and performing, those kind of makeshift semi-cheap sets. But that's truly how it was back then with those kind of theater settings. It was very paint by numbers, theater of the mind, and it has a somberness to it. I think that's the way I would probably explain this movie. It's a very somber movie. It has its moments where you feel a little harder than you would expect, and moments that you feel, yeah, this hits just the right beats and just the right moments. It truly feels like a movie, with maybe the exception of Sinners. I could see this being Best Picture. It is truly that good. It is a very, very well-paced movie. The structure, the drama. This feels like a movie that should be talked about more, appreciated more, and given the scope of what its subject matter is, be truly accepted for more than it is. I think it's a movie that can stand the test of time from years to come. I can't recommend it enough. Although, with the caveat, it is heavy. Not the heaviest, but it gets pretty heavy. I give Hamnet 5 out of 5. Have you seen Hamnet? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to stab that subscribe button and slice that like button, and I'll see you next time.